So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you are born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality.
Wednesday, December 10th.
And I thank you so much for your
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to Keep It Real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM. Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call in and join this global, I usually say national, but we're on all over the world with the YouTube channel and our live stream on nationalactionnetwork.net, and we want you to call in globally and tell us what's on your mind and what's in your heart. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go to our live stream. I think somebody just went on live stream from, yes, Gwendolyn E. White went on our message board saying, "Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton from Raleigh, North Carolina." All right, I hear you, Gwen, and thank you for your call. Rodney Jones, the mayor, said, "Good afternoon, my shepherd," the mayor of Queensbridge Houses. And I know the first one I'd read said, "I need your assistance. Call National Action Network, 646-380. Well, no, call directly to where we do assistance. Call 877. The National Action Network's number, 626-4651. 626-4651. 877-626-4651. It is literally impossible for any one person to take all of the needs that we have around the country. So telling me and not telling the staff, back that one up that you just did, back and not telling the staff will not get anything done. People say, "No, I want to talk to you," but telling me is good. But then the staff has to do the background work and find out what I can do to help. That's why I tell you, call them. Because telling me, everybody's got something they want. We need to do it, we can help you. Claudia Paz calling in. We are in the UK. Claudia. All right. And I come to the UK at least once a year, speak at a couple of the colleges and do a town hall in Brixton. I did not get there this year, so I will definitely be there early next year with our affiliates there in London. I have great respect for a lot of the work that they've done, and I always come. Sir Simon Woolley, a black member of the House of Lords. I remember in 1991, I went to London for at the invitation of, they had killed a young black male in a side of London. They didn't allow blacks like we had fought here. They asked me to come and help to lead the marches. Roland Adams was his name. And I led the marches, and I met, then they were activists, Simon Woolley and others there in London. And I've been back ever since. And Simon and the Roland Adams' mother became a member of the House of Lords. They kept fighting until they got a lot of that movement empowered. And I've been back and spoke at Oxford 2 or 3 times and on these issues. And on and on and on. So I'm glad to hear you're listening in the UK. That's why I said we're talking global. Any of our other global friends, you can chime in. You call in at 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board. And I think Bruce Turner got something good on the message board. Took one of the opening statements I wanted to bring out. Trump went to Pennsylvania last night. Now, Bruce Turner says the rally last night in Pennsylvania was weak and the same old red meat. No doubt about it. But what was interesting is that Trump had less than 1,000 people, not drawing big numbers, stood there and lied about the inflation, lied about where we are. And now I see why he's not been out. I think he's losing it. They say he's losing, the expression is you lose your fastball. I think he lost his whole ball from what I saw last night. He was way off. And I think that he's trying to counter, and the Republicans that are trying to maintain the midterms next year and whatever they can maintain after, they're trying to maintain and fight back so they can try to hold the Congress next year and try to then run whomever the Republicans nominate in 28. So they're trying to do their spin on affordability. And even the audience last night was saying, wait a minute, how are you telling us that affordability is a myth when we are suffering and we voted for you? You cannot tell people the price of bread, price of eggs, and other items have not gone up, or that the rent is too high, or the mortgages is too high. You cannot tell them that's not true, that's a Biden fantasy, when they're paying it. If your grocery items has gone up by a third, if your mortgage rates are going up, if at the end of the month, the premiums on health care is going up because you would not renew the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare, you must think people are crazy or just stupid that you're going to tell them, oh, yeah, well, there's no inflation. Well, then why am I paying more money? Oh, it doesn't matter about the Affordable Care Act. Well, then why are the premiums going to triple? I mean, do they really think that Trump is that much of a magician that he could convince people that they're not hurting when they're hurting? That it's in their best interest to hurt? You know, I think it was Abraham Lincoln say you can fool some of the people some of the times. You can fool some of the people all the times. You can fool all the people some of the times. But you can't fool all the people all the time. And we done got to the all the people all the time part of this. It don't work. It ain't true. One Dr. JCB saying it's amazing how Trump and his cohort said the President Biden was losing it and off his rocker. What do they say about his being unhinged? Double standard. You're right, Doc. You're absolutely right. Joanne Kemp is saying Trump said black people love him because black people know a scam better than the others. What does that mean? Yeah, that's exactly, he's saying that we're scam artists. Well, why are they only after nations of color? Venezuela with oil, Nigeria with oil, called the African countries S-hole countries, and Haiti an S-hole country. It don't take a research team to figure out where he's going racially. And it is important. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the state of the economy, Trump out giving misinformation. We will talk about how the third judge in a row now, district judge, United States federal judge, Richard Berman, who handled the Jeffrey Epstein 2019 criminal case, has become the third federal judge to grant the Justice Department's request to unseal grand jury materials and other evidence around the Epstein case. Third judge. We're going to get to the bottom of this yet. And Michigan Michigan U.S. Representative Haley Stevens, who is now running for the U.S. Senate, introduced an impeachment article against HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., accusing him of undermining public health, halting critical medical research, and spreading conspiracies that she says have caused lives. Move to impeach Robert Kennedy Jr. All right, let's take a break. A lot to talk about. I just gave you a taste. We had 3 hours, and I'm going to give everybody a shot. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back.
Come on.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who could run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and you can go to our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to the message board at live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Georgia Daniels is saying on the message board, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Let the light of truth shine through the murkiness of evil. Keeping it real in Toledo, Ohio. I like that. And that is definitely what we try to do. And let me say by way of announcements, before going to the phones, I want to remind everybody to make sure that you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm already lining up some really good hosts this weekend. I really want to get to the bottom. People need to understand the inflation situation is one problem, but the affordability, the rising cost of living, groceries, rent, mortgages is real. And so I'm going to deal with that, and I'm going to have some experts there. Then I want the members of the Senate and two governors on between the two nights around the Affordable Care Act. We will be down to the wire if they do not renew the Affordable Care Act, and they claim they had an alternative plan. They have now all of a sudden backpedaled on that. So it looks like we're headed into a real problem that will make 23 million Americans lose their health care, and the premiums go through the roof. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend, because I'm going to give you straight, I'm going to have the right people on there. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the Village of Harlem. 145th and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice. All right, let's get ready to go to the phones. Let me start with Germany. Let me go all the way to Europe, to Germany, to Rick. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Brother Sharpton.
Good day.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine, yes.
Okay, Rev. I believe in Jesus, but I know most of you with college, divinity, and religious training don't promote the most hurtful and hateful and biased parts of the Abrahamic writings from the Jews, from the Christians, or from the Muslims. And writing as a skill was picked up first by the Hebrews in Egypt beyond clay tablet writing. But I also want to say that I don't believe all whites are the devil, and I don't believe that all whites have the desire to hurt or oppress or destroy. And yet there will be worse than Trump to come in U.S. politics. Men and women after Trump, there are those that will be worse. And so I say, I have enjoyed talk radio for more than 30 years. And if it leads poor people to vote, then I think those in talk radio have done something of their job. And if it leads poor people to better health and peace with other people, then I believe those in talk radio have done their job. I'm done, brother man.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you for your call. And I think that he is right. I think that a lot of us, whether we are self-proclaimed Christians or Muslims or Buddhist or Hindu or Taoist, we love to be selective in what we want to read out of our given scriptures. And I believe you need to, if you claim you are something, be all the way that, and not cherry pick what you like. And because there's some hard truths in all religions, hard truths. Most of us don't want to handle it. Cedric Cooper's writing on our message board, in the midst of the spotlight of tragedy of whoever the person was, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, you gave pivotal, world-changing eulogies. Yeah, I was honored. I did Michael Jackson's eulogy, James Brown, spoke at Aretha's funeral, Rosa Parks, a lot of notable people. And even though they were all world famous, Etta James, I did the eulogy at her funeral. And not to mention the victims, Eric Garner's funeral, George Floyd's funeral, on and on, Sean Bell. I think that the thread for me is that they needed to all be interpreted, that their celebrity and their music came in a context of racial double standard. That's what I wanted to really get across with Michael Jackson's eulogy and James Brown's and Aretha's and all, is that their celebrity didn't in any way deny the fact that they were blacks in America and were treated to a double standard. So let's not, in their stardom, get confused about how they had to labor. And that's what was a thread through all of them. And I think that's why the families of all of them had said, Remal, would you do the eulogy? Because they knew that I was going to say, yeah, they reached great heights with big stars, but y'all demonized them. Y'all tried to destroy them. And what really made them stars is they were strong enough to take your attacks and keep going. And that's true of Michael. 2 days before Michael Jackson died, he was wacko jacko. James Brown, all kind of words out there. Aretha Frank, same thing. So I wanted to use the honor of doing their eulogies by telling the real story and hopefully waking up and enlightening some people in the public. But I appreciate you saying that. Let's take our break, and I'll come back to more of you on the phones. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Reverend Al, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check." And but all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry, she said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis alone. He's one of the good ones." She loved Clive and said, "We got to remember what happened to the Irish and what happened to Jews and what happened to blacks." And that is why we remember her legacy, because she sang a song for all of us. She was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. If you track where we are, you can follow where Aretha had us. That's why when I look at her and James Brown, whose daughter is here, and others who paid a price, that opened the door, but never forgot where they came from. She was rooted in the black church. She was bathed in the black church, and she took the black church downtown and made folks that didn't know what the Holy Ghost was shout in the middle of a concert. You never saw her perform without her doing gospel, because she never was one to forget where she came from. And that's why we give her this great homegoing. We thank her for what she did with Dr. King. We thank her for what she's done with Reverend Jackson. We thank her for what she's done with all of us. And that is why, you know, the other Sunday on my show, I misspelled respect. And a lot of y'all corrected me. Now I want y'all to help me correct President Trump to teach him what it means. And I say that because when word had went out that Miss Franklin passed, Trump said she used to work for me. No, she used to perform for you. She worked for us.
Yes!
Retha never took orders from nobody but God. So Retha, as you get your rest, my mother passed about 6 years ago. President Clinton, my mother and I had a deal. She said, I'll meet you on the other side. You live the way you're supposed to, and I'll see you in heaven. I said, well, Ma, they tell me there is no bodies in heaven, just spirits. How am I going to know you? I know her sons. How will I know her? She said, I tell you, you meet me at the exchange counter. I said, exchange counter? What kind of exchange counter? She said, well, right after you get through the Golden Gates, there's an exchange counter. That's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. We watched Aretha bear her cross down here. She had to sing with a broken heart. She had to work when she didn't get paid. She was a black woman in a white man's world. She bared her cross. She fought a good fight. Now it's time to crown the queen. I'll see you at the exchange counter where you can now hand in your cross. Ain't no cancer over there, Aretha. Hand in your cross and pick up your crown. As I take my seat, I've been asked to read this. Don't do that.
Trying to persuade you if I can. If you come, can you come on a Wednesday?
5 minutes and y'all will make me go
I'm
into
talking to
something
the city
else.
council. That would greatly enhance what
Dear
I'm doing.
friends and family
Because
of Aretha,
unfortunately, when I go to the council and talk about these issues, it seems like other people in the districts that are impacted, they're just not there. In fact, one of the councilmen was saying that at a meeting that we had. They come to these local meetings, individual meetings, and complain. When it comes down to coming to the full council where they can actually vote these your request into action, they don't show up. So
wait a minute, let me get this right. So the full council meets on Wednesdays?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And secondly, I'm in the process of doing a 501c4. And the purpose of this is, we talk about how these athletes and these entertainers have all this money, and they don't, what'd you give to the community? You got a $200 million contract. What did you donate to your community that you came from when you're an African American? What have you done that we can walk by and say, okay, this is, for instance, Larry Johnson, who used to play for the Knicks back in the day when Patrick Ewing, when they lost to San Antonio, they lost to the Spurs. Larry Johnson built a gym. He was playing for the Knicks. You can see that. Well, okay, you got all these athletes now with contracts that are 10 times as large. And, what are you doing? Well, this 501c3 is designed for if you want to donate X number of dollars, your name doesn't have to be exposed.
Right.
In case you're like, oh, I don't want the league to know I'm donating to my neighborhood.
Right.
Well, the purpose of this thing is, you can donate your money. And you can come in and look at the books anytime you want to. And then the 501c4 can in turn invest the money in economic development in neighborhoods that you designate, or that we come together and say, we're going to buy this particular Walmart building, and then we're going to put 100 black businesses in it, and it's going to be in Dallas. And they're going to say, okay, we can go there and see it. So I'm trying to actually take some, your network is National Action. So I'm trying to actually take some action. It's something you can see, you can put your hands on, you can walk through the door, as opposed to, conversation, which when Dr. Haynes preaches on Sunday, he fires up the crowd, and as soon as they walk out the door, the fire goes out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to do is have something where when you walk out the door, the fire is still burning.
Right.
And you can go over there and say, okay, we can point to this business, that business, this business, this housing development, this stuff. This is what I'm trying to evolve into, and I appreciate you allowing me to have this platform.
Well, I appreciate you using this platform for something of substance, and I think that is important. We understand the concept Leon has had there in Dallas, and I do hope that now with the political wins with Jasmine Crockett running for the Senate and Reverend Haynes running for Congress, could put some of the political capital into this complex, economic complex that you've been talking about doing, need to be done and be a national model. And I've been trying to schedule to go through Dallas. Now you give me a tip to come through on a Wednesday. So we still trying to work that out. Things keep popping up, but I'm going to do that. But I definitely am going to be coming through, and I'm going to be helping Jasmine the best way I can to get her message out. I think for
Thank you.
Jasmine, breaking that whole cycle there in Texas is important, and making the redistricting backfire by bringing out people to vote. But again, the goal must be, and I repeat this all the time, the goal must be economic independence, economic self-sufficiency. The tool is voting and politics. Sometimes I think we get it mixed up and think that, well, we just get paid a couple of dollars to get out to vote. The goal is to get out to vote. The goal is to get out to vote so we can own and operate and be self-sufficient. Everybody in America, every community in America uses politics to sustain their economics, not the other way around. It's business.
Right.
And you can see that from the way Trump is doing business. Right now, they're having this whole battle between those that own Paramount trying to buy Netflix, and they're saying that if you let us make this merger, we'll be owning CNN then, and we'll change the program any way you want, President Trump. So if you got CNN owned by Ellison, who's a MAGA guy, just bought CBS, then people are probably only MS now is the only ones that will not be like Fox. That was all because they voted Trump in for a business or economic result.
And I think we stop at the politics and don't get to the economic empowerment.
I couldn't be spoken better, Reverend Al. I don't care what people say when they call into your show. If they're so much smarter than you are, why aren't they where you're at? Okay? And we're also talking about the masses of black people.
Right.
Not just one or two people you can point out
right.
that are successful.
Right.
The masses of other races are making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. And those are the numbers.
Right.
We are always on the bottom of the economic scale. Black unemployment is always the highest, and we got to make sure that we include the masses and not just a few individuals, because we're going to always have these problems in our community, the crime, the housing, all this other stuff, if we don't make sure that the masses are brought up together, not just one or two individuals who everybody points to, and everything else is still the same.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. All right. Thank you for your call. And let me go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira.
Hey, good evening. Hey, good evening, Reverend Sharp. Thanks for taking my call. I try to keep my call less than 5 minutes when I talk to you. I got 3 quick subjects. This is how I'm carrying. The first one, I heard an article on the Epstein files, A to Z list, people with a non-sexual association with them. And if anybody can get on there, they can find out for their research for themselves. But it has some people that you never suspect. I mean, everybody went to Epstein. That's step one. And my second step, this BlackRock associated with BlackRock, they're attempting or have bought up all of the crypto as much as they can. So when this 47 Orange Cheeto decide to take the dollar away, you had to buy crypto. You're buying it from BlackRock and associates. They bought up every one that they had. So you have to come to them and still make them richer than what they are. That's the whole thing that gets me with this BlackRock thing. And that's just something you got to take a look at, this crypto. It's not really all what it's cracked up to be, but it's really psychologically what this 47, his people want to make a law so you can buy from them and be at their base. And my last subject is this, brother. I got, it's kind of technical. It's a blatant attack on black degrees. I read that article today, and I got a lady's name. I'm going to give you her site. It's on Instagram. It's called I Am Nikki Free. And it's on Instagram. And I ain't going to go through the details, tell you exactly everything, but they're saying they're taking most of these degrees and discrediting them because they belong to black people. And so that they're making it so they can completely directly not involve you in a program that requires a degree for us, healthcare, home health services, all this little stuff. But if you get that site called IamNikkiFree.com or Instagram, whatever it is, she told the whole story, and it's interesting. I just want you folks to know it's a public service number. Check that out, and it was interesting to me, and I think all your listeners should look for that. And I appreciate.
Now they're saying that the give me that last third point again.
Okay, the third point is it's a blatant attack on black degrees. What they did was the president and his people, they went and made a sweeping decision to make a solid decision on releasing the protocol of black people having these degrees.
Right.
Or it's really an attack on black people having degrees. And they did it behind closed doors, no meetings, no nothing. A lot of bills they're doing, a lot of things they're doing are not where people can say, well, no, we can't do this. They're doing it undercover, in the dark, and sideways, so that when you look around again, it's a law because you never knew anything about it. You can defend the thing. It's a lot of stuff that they do that now they're doing. They're not bringing on the front of the street. And they're making it so that you don't know anything. It's a law, and you didn't know anything about a law coming because you would have disputed a law like that. You know, you're discrediting all these black people who have degrees and things that they said we have to have or do health care, personal stuff like that. They're saying it's not necessary anymore. Same thing, the school attack on black school and black education is what they have done to decrease the wealth of black education in the system to try to make a black person with a degree nothing. That's my personal opinion.
All right. Thank you for your call. And let me take my break now before we go back to the phones. 1-877-532-5797 Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back. Of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We gonna organize our house, house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa God where you make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating this.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And a lot of people on our message board and rightfully concerned about what's going to happen with health care and what's going to happen in terms of the cost of living. I mean, you don't have an option to talk about the cost of living. We all got to live, eat, and
Tanya Stovall saying, and to make sure that the Obamacare Act is dead, that's the Trump and GOP health plans for the nation. She's right about that. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Disco Brian.
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
Thank you for taking my call. You are my only leader. Thank you for being that. I've been thinking about, Rev, a little bit about history today, if I may. I've been thinking about the emotional fallout of Ronald Reagan, not just on politics, but on artists' souls. Jimmy Carter's White House, Rev, was the only one that Dolly Parton ever visited. There are pictures of her giving him one of the biggest hugs I've ever seen her give anybody. And her sister, Stella Parton, has been one of the most unflinching critics of the MAGA nightmare from day one. But Dolly herself, even though she's maybe the most universally beloved white woman on earth for very good reasons, remember, y'all, this is a woman who openly said Black Lives Matter during the 2020 marches.
Right.
She's quietly turned down every attempt to drag her into presidential politics ever since Carter. Obama, Trump, and Biden have all tried to give her the Medal of Freedom, and she has declined. And my theory, Rev, I think Reagan traumatized Dolly Parton. Carter's presidency brought together the whitest Appalachian country artists and the bluest black blues and jazz icons. Willie, Allman Brothers, John Denver, Dylan, John Lennon, Ella, Dizzy, Louie. They loved Carter. And to me, that man was, up until that point, the most genuinely Christian, multiracial, democracy-defending president we've ever had. And then this, as to quote Gil Scott-Heron, this B-movie actor named Reagan comes along in 80 and basically spits in Carter's face with that landslide. And a lot of those white country stars shifted from Carter to Reagan. And I can just imagine Dolly looking at that and saying, if this is what white America does to a good Christian man like Jimmy Carter, then I'm not hitching my witness to presidential politics ever again. I'll just fund literacy and do the work quietly. So, Rev, my question for you is, do you think Reagan's victory didn't just wound democracy, but scared a whole generation of artists like Dolly, pushing some toward Reaganism and pushing others into a kind of a holy silence?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. I think that because when Reagan came in 80, and he came in after Carter, he beat Carter. Carter had come in 76, first election after Watergate. I think that Reagan came in was a chilling effect on a lot of the artists that were doing some political stands because Reagan clearly in his administration, his DOJ, was going to start messing with people that went against the administration. He was 8 years there doing it. So I think it did chill a lot of the artists, entertainers, and I think in many ways because those cultural voices were gone, it opened up a whole area for misinformation. And I think that you got to remember Reagan was a great communicator because he was an actor. He knew how to use that, oh, I'm one of the guys, I understand you kind of persona. He was an actor, and he knew how to act, and he knew how to play the cameras, and he could have some of the most reactionary policies, but have that little grin on it, and you didn't even understand what it was. Now, Donald Trump is an entertainer, had a TV show, but he's not an actor. He's caustic. He's offensive. He's in your face. Reagan was smooth, but it was like having a iron fist in a velvet glove.
Rev, I'm just dreadfully concerned that some of today's most celebrated culture icons are taking the wrong message from MVP Harris's loss. Like, yeah, we tried, but by re-electing Trump, the voters are telling us that they don't want our help. For artists who are listening out there, and all of you should be listening to this show, Kamala had 107 days and lost by 1.5 points. That is not a repudiation of moral leadership. That is a near miss.
Right.
So how do we make sure Reagan-type defeats and now Kamala's defeat don't scare the Dolly Partons of today into silence again, especially artists with enormous platforms who could be standing up for Jasmine Crockett and democracy right now instead of disappearing from the fight? Because I'm looking at you, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. We need y'all to be as loud and proud as these white, mediocre, I'd say they're way worse than mediocre men like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn. Subtlety and talking around politics, Rev, in these times is just far too dangerous an approach.
Yeah, well, I think the way
my call, Rev.
All right, thank you for your call. I think the way you deal with it is that I think you flip the narrative to what is more constructive and true. Rather than saying, if I'm artist A, artist B, I went out there and the people decided they wanted Trump. Well, I would say we lost by 1.5 points in 107 days. Maybe if I get out there more, we wouldn't have lost by that. Maybe if I had put in a little more effort, we'd have been all right. That's how I would answer that. Doll, I'm looking at Doll 676 on our message board saying, good morning, Reverend Sharpton, and chat watching from Los Angeles, California. And see, I think, Brian, that we let the artists off too easily by saying things like, we went out there, the people wanted more, different. No, we had 107 days, and you went out there once or twice. Suppose if you went out there 4 or 5 times, we might have overcome that 1.5%. You might have been able to energize more of your young fans. So I think that it's a question of what we accept to be the narrative, and that people give them the wrong narrative, that the people rejected, maybe I did not do enough. And I think that is how I would turn that around. But thank you for your statement, Disco Brian. Saint6744 said, God bless Reverend Jesse Jackson and family. Thank you for all you've done for people's justice and supported rights, civil rights. All right. And thank you for that, Saint. I talked to 2 of Reverend Jackson's sons today. I stay in touch daily basis, see how he is getting along. I was there last Thursday night, visited him. Been trying to go as often as I can. Let's go to, let me go back to the message board. A lot of message boards today, and I'm glad about it because I think it is important that you express your thoughts and they get currency, because I tell people that you be surprised what is and is not saying if you let people say it. Magnolia Brown says, if the ballroom isn't being built and there's currently no architect retained, then what exactly did private companies pay hundreds of millions of dollars for? Where did the money go? It's a very good question, Magnolia. Inquiring minds want to know. I love that. Bruce Turner saying, I believe the shift is on, Rev. The MAGA crowd are starting to see the light. Well, I think that little by little, we're seeing some shift, particularly when he last night only drew less than 1,000 people in Pennsylvania. But again, I wouldn't relax until we get it all done. And I think Rodney Jones had a post up. I think we got to keep our foot on the gas and not get happy too quickly, because this is a long fight.
Rodney Jones said Chief Justice Roberts and others of the conservative majority of the Supreme Court have an agenda. They are not making decisions on the law, but their own ideology. That's right, Mr. Mayor. They're going totally by ideology, in my opinion. All right, thank you, Mayor Rodney Jones. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. To our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats, regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I narrated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a going-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the Fleet Center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. We are also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school. This is not about a party. This is about living up to the promise of America. The promise of America says we will guarantee quality education for all children and not spend more money on metal detectors than computers in our schools. The promise of America guarantees health care for all of its citizens and doesn't force seniors to travel to Canada to buy prescription drugs they can't afford here at home. The promise of America provides that those who work in our healthcare system can afford to be hospitalized in the very beds they clean up every day. The promise of America is that government does not seek to regulate your behavior in the bedroom, but to guarantee your right to provide food in the kitchen. The issue of government is not to determine who may sleep together in the bedroom. It's to help those that might not be eating in the kitchen. The promise of America is that we stand for human rights, whether it's fighting against slavery in the Sudan, where right now Joe Madison and others are fasting around what is going on in Sudan. AIDS in Lesotho.
You're live.
The promise of America.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host.
Keeping it real.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. There's been people all over the country, many of you in various cities, that have heard people complain and talk about the fact that we're not dealing with gun control seriously enough, that we're dealing with gun-related crimes as not the priority level that we should. But in the Bronx, New York, a very effective and committed district attorney that I know firsthand, she's been there since 2015. In fact, the first woman to hold that office and the first black woman to serve as a district attorney in the state of New York is Darcel Clark. And Darcel Clark is on our live line. She's often at our National Action Network Saturday rallies and other rallies. And I wanted to bring her on because you could use this as a national template, and certainly you in the New York area should be listening, but you can use this as a template around the country. Thank you for coming on, D.A. Clark. I don't hear the DA.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Okay.
All right, now tell
I'm
us.
saying thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being on. You did the first gun buyback, I think on the 22nd of November. Tell us why you did it and what are the results.
Well, I did it because we have to do everything that we can to get these guns off of our streets and out of our homes. People are using them in crimes. People are being shot. They're being killed. Suicides are happening. Kids are picking them up. I want to do everything I can as a preventive measure to stop that harm that's happening in our community. So the first gun buyback I did this year was last month, November 22nd, and we collected 165 guns.
Wow.
And that means every single one of those guns, that means another life is going to be saved because that gun will not be used to hurt anybody.
Now, what was the community's response and the significance to the community of removing these firearms?
Well, the community always wants to have these because they want anything to keep them safe. I mean, I know how to prosecute people. I've been doing that, holding people accountable for doing this, dealing with our young people, trying to get them to know that there's alternatives to violence. So we do and pour everything we can into our young people to get them to stop. But then there's other measures we can do, like this amnesty thing. People need to get these guns out. And we have some incentives. On top of just turning in your gun, you get a $500 bank card. And people need money right now. So if that gun is laying around doing nothing and potentially harming somebody, trade it in for the $500. So if you turn in a working handgun or assault rifle, you get a $500 bank card. If you turn in a ghost gun, which you know is a big problem that we're having now in our community, and these 3D printed guns, these people are so ingenious. I wish they would use their powers for good instead of evil.
Right.
But if you get a 3D printed gun, you get a $200 bank card. And on top of that, another incentive is that the first 100 people that turn in those working guns will receive an electronic device. So they'll have their choice of an iPad, an iWatch, the AirPods, PlayStation, and Xbox. And I want to thank Assembly Speaker Carl Hasty, who provided the electronic incentives for people to bring those guns in.
Now, your next Bronx gun buyback is on Saturday, the 13th of December, this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. Luke Episcopal Church on 777 East
222nd Street. Talk about the compensation and why these gun buyback programs really matter.
Well, it's the same compensation that I talk about, the $500 bank card, the $200 bank card for those serious guns. And you get the free electronic for the first 100. $75 bank card for a rifle or shotgun. And then $25 is bringing a gun that doesn't work, or air guns or imitation pistols. But this is important, Rev, because these guns are killing our people.
Right.
We're shooting and killing each other. So every gun we remove will stop that from happening. Somebody in your home, everybody got somebody in their home that might suffer from mental illness or something, making sure they don't pick it up to harm themselves or others, to make sure that a kid that's in our home doesn't pick it up and play with it thinking that it's a gun. You know, seeing these video games and watching TV, they think it's a gun. They're hurting themselves. Or they're bringing it to school for show and tell, thinking that it's cool, and they're hurting themselves. So every single time we collect one of these guns, we are making our community more safe. And the one we did last month, we collected 67 semi-automatic guns, 52 revolvers, 11 assault rifles. You know how hard we're trying to get the federal government to stop these assault rifles from coming?
Wow.
We had AK-47s and AR-15s. We had 11 of them, rifles and shotguns, etc. So it's important that we get these guns, and it's no questions asked. That's the most important thing. Nobody's going to ask you for your ID, your name, why you're bringing a gun. You bring it in a paper bag, a plastic bag, or a box. Turn it in. The ballistics professionals will test it to see if it's operable, and if it's working, you will get one of these items that we talk about. In addition, the St. Luke's Church is also doing some pantry items as well, because food insecurity, of course, is something that we're dealing with as well. So it's the holidays. Make your home safe. Get rid of the gun. Get a gift like a iPad or something for a family member. Give it as a holiday gift, whatever, Kwanzaa, whatever you want to do. But let's get these guns off of our streets.
All right, and that's this Saturday, 10 to 4 at the St. Luke's Episcopal Church, 777 East 222nd Street in the Bronx. And D.A. Darcel D. Clark, glad to have you with us to make this announcement. We're going to keep on going. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's get ready to take our break. We'll be back, going back to the phones right after this. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, what's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing? All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills. And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
All right, you live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. And we're back. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And I'm working the phones already. It's Wednesday, lining up some of the senators and some of the governors. I want to really deal with the fact that we're running very close to the Affordable Care Act not being renewed. I also want to deal with the whole question of the tape of the second attack on the boat in Venezuela, what it really means, what are they going to do to force all this out. And, of course, I want to deal with what everybody's trying to make us forget about, the Epstein files. The Epstein files. I think that it is important. All right, let's go to the phones. Let me go to my ace boon coon, Frank, on the west side of Chicago. He says it's the best side. Frank?
Yes, it is. Reverend Al, proud because it is the best side. How you doing, Reverend Al?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing well too. But I showed Miss Lee's talking to at least 2 times. We remember good old days. I'm trying to get them back, but I got you now.
All right.
I talked to your daughter the last time, her and Miss Jennifer Jones Austin Thursday, right? And we had a great conversation.
Oh,
but
good.
real quick, I was listening. Oh, yes, sir. I miss her too. I was listening to the guy talking earlier about Reagan and how he was this, how he was that, and Reagan was the beginning of the downfall of our media when he got rid of the Fairness Act. Reagan was the beginning of the downfall of our democracy in regards to his Reaganomics shook it down mentality. Is what allowed billionaires now to be created in America by the handful. So now they got the money to buy our politicians. So he started a lot of rotten stuff that we suffering from now. But Red, I called to just point out just 2 things real quick. Number one, Reverend, now remember, I tried to catch Reverend Rawan. Yes, I just couldn't get in. But you are Reverend too. Remember back in the days when the Jews was being ruled over by the Romans on the time of Christ,
right?
And they came up to a truck and said, who was Pilate? We're going to let go. Pardon for the year, be it Jesus Christ of Nazareth or Barabbas, a known criminal.
Right.
And the people chose Barabbas. Remember? Mm-hmm. I know you know, but I'm talking to the people too. But they need to understand that that's because the Pharisees had their soldiers, who was up under the Roman soldiers, had their soldiers in the crowd holding the swords to people and making them vote for Barabbas and not Jesus. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is all ordained, orchestrated by God himself to bring forth the crucifixion of Jesus so salvation under grace could be established, right? So, and the people were in the position to speak up. But Reverend, now, what we witness today, as far as I'm concerned, is a modernization of that, okay, with the threat that the MAGA crowds are doing to our politicians. And someone don't need threatened, but the threat is still there, the threat of their lives and their loved ones to go along with what Trump's saying. And if you ask me, Reverend, now, the Supreme Court is on the threat too. Those 6 justices there, they're on the threat too. They just not saying anything about it. But see, the only thing different is this is not God's will, okay? And we are now in a position where we can speak out against this and call for action against this. Like they're trying to say that anyone who attacked police officer is a mandatory sin. But it's like, you know what I'm saying, back in ancient Israel when with the Hebrews was told you strike an Egyptian soldier, that's instant death. Same thing with the Roman soldiers in regards to the time of Christ. Now, what I want to point out is that enough is not being said about the way the MAGA is using threats to get people to bow down to will of Donald Trump. I mean, quasi-cap, I hope we take the House. But even now, they should be mandating that anyone found guilty of threatening a politician or anyone that's in any kind of legislation whatsoever, be it a candidate, you lay down a death threat against them or their loved one, that should be you should be facing a mandatory federal life sentence. I think enough is not being beat out about it so people can know exactly what's going on. Now. And I just want to know what you think about it. I see a parallel in that book. We had the ability to speak out, and it's not being done. And last but not least, Reverend Al, I think us Democrats, we need to take the blame in the blue states for allowing what's happened in the red state to happen, because they can very easily have done something red that could have caused the red state to start flipping to blue. Okay? And it seems like it's going to happen anyway up on another direction, because these people in the red state, Reverend, they pushing back against these redrawn, these maps. I know you've seen them at the town hall. I know you see them at their state capitol. And they're going to mess around and try to draw these maps, because hopefully there's enough righteous people in those states, Reverend Al, they're going to say, no, this is totally unfair. You just cannot eliminate an entire community of people power in our politics. You just cannot gerrymander. Because as far as I'm concerned, Reverend Al, the Supreme Court said, well, you can politically gerrymander. Well, that's just the bad. You can't gerrymander the entire state to be one-sided to a party, just like you can't do it for political reasons, just like you can't do it for racial reasons. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I think that it should flip and fire on every black person or every Democrat that lost their seat for redistricting. Because of redistricting, Reverend, now I think they should wherever they land at, they should run for that seat, and they might get surprised. The Republican Party might get the mess surprise item that enough people came out to vote these people back into office, regardless of where you put them at. So, Reverend, what do you think about the Jesus and Barabbas parallelism in the threats, and what do you think about, you know what I'm saying, us not doing what we should do as Democrats and just relying on that, as far as if we do, even here, universal health care, education, and basic guaranteed income. And I like the last call, when the last guest you had on, knowing that an incentive of $500 is used, that's going to do it, and it's doing a good job. But the same thing here, an incentive can be used with the basic guaranteed income, regardless of how many guns out there. You need a program that can serve as an incentive not to use them. That's just as strong. If you can use that incentive mentality with the $500 buyback, why can't you use that same incentive mentality in regard to keeping from using guns, regardless of how many guns out there? You got a universal basic guaranteed income, and your Democrats dominate that state, which is very easy to do. Then now there is an incentive not to use a gun, because certain crimes will get you kicked off the program family. But right now, what do you think about us not speaking up loud enough about the threats? What do you think about us not doing what we should be doing? You see what I'm saying, as far as flipping these states from red to blue? Because I think you're dropping the ball. I really do.
I think you touched on some important points there. And I think we are dropping the ball. And I think that part of our dropping the ball, I don't think we make it enough of an issue of what is going on. So when there is no response and nobody really saying, wait a minute, did you understand what they're doing? It becomes normalized. People like say, oh, nobody's saying nothing. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to go.
Exactly, Reverend Al, and that's how it's going down. So hopefully enough ears are listening. I know we got your ear. I know you know what's going on, but enough of we got politicians still listening. I tell them they need to speak out against the threats that are being made and need to do something about it, Reverend Al. And basically, that's all I got to say, Reverend Al, other than the fact I miss talking to you at least twice a week. And it kind of hurts, but I'm coming back slowly but surely. I love you, Reverend Al. Everyone have a great day now.
All right, take care of yourself. Let's go. Do I have time for another one? Let's go to Connecticut to Cliff. Cliff, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Rev, thanks a lot for taking my call. I'll be brief. Hey, listen, has any of your callers, or you talked about the Miami race?
Yeah, somebody mentioned it. For you that were not on, this is the first time in over 3 decades a Democrat won for the mayor of Miami. A woman won, and she won huge. I think it was 20-something points, right, Cliff?
You know, absolutely. And the majority of the population is Hispanic, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And the Republican candidate that was endorsed by Trump was a Hispanic. So that set the trend. And so with that being said, and I'm going to say this and keep it real, Reverend Sharpton, there's no question, in my opinion, the black leadership, which includes you, were responsible for Kamala Harris becoming the vice president. I think black people had more leverage in the Democratic Party. And I think you were responsible, along with some other black leaders, in getting Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson to be on Biden's list, in my opinion. So with that being said, the black leadership, without a doubt, should have a candidate for the 2028 election, and I believe it should be Kamala Harris. There's no question that she should run. And so am I out of line requesting that the black leadership have a candidate?
No, I don't think so. I think, in fact, I think we should put that video up. When Joe Biden spoke at National Action Network's King Breakfast 2-3 years ago, he said that Rev, you and others helped make me do that. We raised the issue.
Right.
And so you are absolutely right. And therefore, if we did it then, why wouldn't we do it now? I think you're absolutely right to do that, Cliff.
Thank you, Rev. Thank you for just understanding my point of view.
All right,
Keep it real.
All right, let's
have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Let me see if I can get. Well, I'm gonna have to take my break. We'll be right back. Keep it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day, as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. is not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
A lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who could run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing. because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, the call-in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.keepingitreal.network.net. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I'm glad that Cliff raised that race in Miami because the trend is clearly going, if one would look at the election that just passed in last month in New York, the referendum in California, the judges' races in Pennsylvania, and then you look at the outcome in Miami. The trend seems to be going against the Republicans. And I think that is a time for the Democrats to get more real, more aggressive, more address the issues on the ground. And I think that it is extremely serious that you can take back the Congress next year. And the reason that becomes important is if Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House, then the chairmen of the committees, the Judiciary Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee, and on, become Democrats. And they can therefore decide a lot of where the legislation goes, how they're scheduled, what works, what doesn't work. So we're talking about changing the whole body politic of the country. And little by little, that vote last night in Miami was significant. The midterms, Mandani winning here in New York, the judges in Pennsylvania, the referendum in California, all of that mattered. And we're starting to get indications of what is going on. And I believe that is important. Let me tell you, one of the things that we're planning on doing, our National Board of National Action Network is meeting tomorrow here in New York. one of the things that we have on the planning board is a national tour of HBCUs, colleges. And I think that a lot of what we do is missed when we don't go and do a lot of the on-the-ground training and exchanging with our students in HBCUs. I've been rereading some of the books, Part the Waters and Edge of Canaan, a lot of the books on the King movement. And one of the things that you get is how SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, was so important. And they were on the campuses, and they became a lot of the energy around the movement. Many of them were not in SCLC, not with Dr. King, but were energized. That's where they produced John Lewis. They produced Stokely Carmichael and others. And there is not that kind of organizing and exchanging going on now as we should. Not proselytizing, not making people say you got to take Democrat or Republican or you got to do whatever, but dealing with the issues and training people, giving them the workshops, young people, on how to organize. So Reverend Cassius Rudolph, who pastors in South Jersey, has come on staff. You heard from him a couple of weeks ago. He's on staff now, national staff of National Action Network, as a special assistant to me. And he's putting together this national HBCU tour. And I have him here in the corporate office. Reverend Rudolph, give our listeners around the country a overview of what you're planning to do.
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Sharpton, for allowing me this opportunity to be not only on the radio today, but to be a part of this great staff to continue this great work that you and Nan continue to do for the country and for our people. And so, y'all, we're excited. We're excited about the National Action Network ASEAN HBCU tour, and we are praying for great success. We're kicking off this tour starting in the new year in January. And our theme around this tour is to awaken, activate, amplify, and to ascend. We live in a generation now where our Gen Z leaders are coming to know themselves, coming to leadership, not just on their campuses, but in the country. And we want to make sure that they are educated and that they know the legacy in which they stand upon. And so the purpose of this tour is to educate, engage, and to activate the next generation of student leaders, faith in action advocates, and social justice builders across our historically black colleges and universities. And as you know, Rev and listeners, we know that our institutions was founded because we could not attend other schools. And now HBCUs are probably produces a majority of all your black leaders in education with degrees, over probably 90% of those. And so our HBCU tour is planned to kick off next month. And we want to tap into this next generation of leaders. And we're calling it Gen Z Rise, which will be a nationwide leadership empowerment experience. And we're traveling to 25 or 30 HBCUs to not only to train them and give them the necessary training they need right before midterms on voter education, engagement, legacy of civil rights, but we want them to know that they are in charge and how we can give them the tools to do this. And so during our student leader trainings on these campuses, we're going to be talking about motivation, registration, mobilization, and activism, giving them the tools to build their own student leaders on their campuses and to reach beyond. And with that, we want them to join our movement at NAN. We want them to be a part of the family, and we look forward to inviting over 300 students to our convention in April. So a few of our objectives, Rev. A few things. We want to equip the students with the tools they need for leadership, advocacy, and civil engagement. We want to build a network of NAN chapters on campuses that we're not already on. We want to connect them with faith, justice, and community leaders through workshops and dialogue. And then we want to inspire Gen Z students to lead with purpose and rise in service to community in action. So we're looking forward to hitting these colleges running in January, and we look forward to seeing you all on the trail.
Now, the young people, I've done several HBCUs a year, Howard being one. They are enthusiastic. I think a lot of the rap that they get wrong, the rap in a negative sense, let me put it that way, is that they are all uninvolved and complacent.
Right.
Some were when I was in Brooklyn College. But there are some that have a hunger and an appetite to learn and to become constructive in their communities. And I think the workshops that you're going to conduct, and I'm going to do one or two of the cities with you, but I think the workshops gives them the ability to learn how, because some have the will but don't know how. How do I begin to do things? I want to do them.
And I totally agree. They have the tools, they have the skills, but they don't know how. So one of our workshops that we're going to be doing in one of the first sessions is Organizing 101. Give you the necessary tools on how to organize, how to bring together your student leaders, how to bring together community partners, ministers, business persons. And so we're going to give them those tools to build upon. We know the legacy of SNCC and SCLC and all those who organized on the ground and got our people registered to vote and led those communities 50 plus years ago. This work continues now. No one else, no organization that I know of than Nan and Reverend Al Sharpton is doing this work. And so not only are they laying the foundation, but there's a new generation awaiting their opportunity to join this movement. I think it might have been Coretta Scott King that says every generation has their own fight. And so the generation now, they have similar fights that we fought before. We just want to make sure they know the legacy in which they are coming from. They know the tools, they know their histories, because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat the same mistakes. And if we, as we say in the church, if we ever needed the Lord, we need him now.
Right.
I'm going to say if we ever needed movement leaders in this next generation, we need them now.
And how much of this has been polluted by misinformation through cultural entities like music and other areas that have really in many ways debunked the idea of black excellence and black culture meaning and standing for something?
Yeah, well, for the last 10 years or so, Rev, we've been seeing people that's not even of the culture, and even some who are part of the culture who might have black faces but have white ideologies. And what I mean by that, they discredit the history, the legacy of the civil rights movement. And then you have organizations like Turning Point USA and people like Candace Owens who tries to infiltrate our black campuses with misinformation, trying to taint the minds of students. And the thing that we're trying to do is we're not trying to tell our students how to think, but we're giving them the tools to think beyond what they've been doing. And so that's our main goal. We want to go on our campuses, let them know that they are somebody, that they can build on this stuff, they can bring their tools and ideas and skills and be a part of what's going on. Because this is the time where we need people to use their voices. We're living in difficult times. We're living in a time where you have individuals who try to discredit historically black colleges and universities. Me being a graduate of Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi, coming from a legacy of civil rights, of great-grandparents from Loudoun County, Alabama, working for the Loudoun County Freedom Department. I was born in this, having an opportunity to work for you and Reverend Jackson and meeting so many others who paved the way for us. This is what we're called to do right now. And so we have to dismiss those people that talk about the legacy and what HBCUs are doing and let them know that HBCUs are alive, that these students know about the movement and that they want to make their own contributions. And we need to meet them where they are and show them what they can do and how they can do it with the tools they have.
Let's take a break. I'll take some calls right after the break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Years ago today,
have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go. We never shy, never shake. Give me a papa God, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well
He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host. Keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877 532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and of course, glad Reverend Cassius Rudolph is still in the room with me. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to Lisa in New York. Lisa.
Oh, hello, Reverend Al Sharpton. How are you?
I'm doing.
How's the Reverend doing?
We're doing well.
That's good. I just want to thank you for everything that you do for us, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know what I would do.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so welcome. Reverend Al, do you remember Carmichael's?
Yeah, in Queens, Guy was it Guy Brewer Boulevard?
Yeah, yeah, they call it. Well, now it's Guy Brewer, but it was New York Boulevard.
That's right.
It was Carmichael's, and the cab service, AB cab service, was around the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we need is we need to come together, and you already doing that. So I just want to. What I'm going to do for you is make you a sweet potato pie, because I know you like that. Come to the Harlem, and I'm going, because we met before. We met. My mother met you, and we were talking about Carmichael's at the Marriott one time.
Oh, okay.
But you probably don't remember because you meet a lot of people. But what I want to talk to you about is black women need to be protected, because a lot of things are going on. At the nail salon, they're going to get their nails done, and they're jacking up the price, right? And it goes up to like $250. And then what happens when that price comes, they call the cops on the black woman, because she's like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be this much.
Wow.
And a lot of that is going on. Yeah, and at the hair salons, they're doing the same thing. The woman agreed to pay $200, but when she gets to the hair braider, they pulling her braids out for just that extra $50, and they agreed for just $250. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
That's another thing with black women. Not to say, we have a lot of stuff going on, but those are things that's happening right now. And another thing that's going on is, they call it artificial intelligence. I call it artificial ignorance, because what they're doing with the artificial intelligence is they're using our history and making up lies. So when young kids go to YouTube and they see this artificial ignorance, it's not intelligent, they're believing it because it looks real. They put these fake, what do you call it, thumbnails, and that's not good. And one last thing I want to say, because I want other people to be able to speak, is we have to get civically engaged. You're engaged, but the whole community, not just the young people. You have a lot of old people that need to know about their community board legislation, who their council person is, school board, all that. So everybody. And that could be done at the church basement like they used to do.
I agree.
So
I think...
I just want to say to you.
Uh-huh.
I'm finished.
I think that you're right. And I think that's the on-the-ground kind of educating and dialogue that we need to have. I agree. Let me get Miss Richardson in here. Miss Richardson, my friend from Chevy Chase, Maryland.
Yes, Rev, can you hear me, dear?
Yes, I do hear you.
Yes, how are you today, Rev?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, dear. Yes, we love you dearly. You are the king of kings as far as this household is concerned. Yes, you are. But Rev, your guest, the lady earlier, the sister that was speaking, I agree with her. If it's voluntary, household to household who want to turn in their firearms, but I would really panic and have fear if they would take that away from our constitutional rights, because we have a lot of responsible firearm owners, gun owners. My husband and I, we're a couple that do have firearms, but they are put away. They're put up and locked up until we think we need them. If we find something suspicious around our door, we go get it just in case, because there's a lot of break-ins in these homes today. But Webb, all they do is show black people in the media as doing crime. And I think that's another sneaky way of the Anglo-Saxon, and black men particularly seem to be afraid of announcing that name, Anglo-Saxon. They'll say European, but that could be other people. But if you say Anglo-Saxon, you're talking about the British, the Germans, the Polish and people like that, the Dutch, because there's a lot of blame being put on white Jewish people. My father was a white Jewish man. You know, Reb, if black people knew the mixture of DNA in their blood, where they come from, many many have white mothers, and they're black, and they have black or other culture fathers, and or either their father could be white or something, or Jewish. But the consensus is most black people think we all come from just black people, and that is simply not true. And Reb, I think you could accommodate me on that, because you know our DNA is like many. I know when I look at that man, the one that has the DNA show,
Henry Louis
and
Gates.
he talks. Yes, dear. Yeah, you know. And I love Henry Louis Gates. I wish he would go into our lower income communities more and let our people, the majority of the consensus of our people, know where they come from, what African tribes and everything else. But I don't think he does that, do he? I mean, unless you know something I don't know, because he usually do with just entertainer people, you know. These people in the spotlight is who he usually, you know, and of course he has to pay his bill, so we know what most of these blacks are doing when they're making money, even if it's to the disgrace of denigrating themselves. They're about making the green back. But what I want to say initially to this is that until they remove white guns from white people's homes, I don't want them bothering my husband and I in our home and confiscating our firearms, because there are a lot of prominent people that have guns, but they don't let you know it. They won't let you know it until they're found out about. And I know names, but I'm not going to name them. I'm going to be a good girl today, because Reb, you know prominent people that have firearms, that they ain't going to say nothing about that. They're the main ones shouting out, "Oh, you don't need your gun," but they got their guns for safety. So we have to stop.
I think the program she's talking about is voluntary for illegal guns. Like if you find out a child of yours in your house has a gun that shouldn't have it, not licensed, not responsible like you and your husband. I don't think she's talking about just taking everybody's guns. And I think that it's good that you bring out the difference because people do have a constitutional right to have a gun, but they do not have the constitutional right to have illegal guns. And I think many of us are saying that there's also ought to be a limit on these kind of firearm guns, automatic weapons that can shoot up 21 times. Nobody needs that kind of automatic weapon. But I think that people should have the right to protect their homes within reason. I don't think that that's her argument at all.
Yeah, and I just want to, in closing, by saying in closing, let's get the criminals who got their guns, because see, as long as they're out there with their guns and taking innocent life, babies are sitting on your porch, but our black community don't speak to it. They only want to speak to prominent people doing something.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. We've got to stop normalizing criminality. And they got to have kids stop thinking that it's wrong to protect the neighborhood. If you got these cops, some of them black cops, that's trying to bring things down. I can't work with the cops. That's a snitch. No, a snitch is I'm your partner doing something. If I'm your victim, I'm not snitching. I'm standing up for my rights. Let's take a break. Thank you, Ms. Richardson. We take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. In many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm on the phones booking people now. The heavy hitters, make sure you watch it on Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And you that are in the tri-state area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in Harlem, 145th and Lenox, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'll be looking for you there on Saturday morning. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. And that is the only black-owned national black-owned national gospel network. Or you can watch it live on National Action Network's live stream. Let's go to the sage from the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad.
Good evening, good afternoon, brothers. How y'all doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Well, now, two things, if I could. Yesterday, I mentioned how context and history matters, and the DNA that includes most European people in our culture, in our existence today, wasn't a DNA. It wasn't a white mixture based on love for the most part. You can't leave out the slave experience and the European or Anglo-Saxon, as Mrs. Said, that where they had free access to our women, and therefore that explains the DNA that's found in some of our history. If we did a DNA test, so it's not a DNA, a voluntary. It wasn't a voluntary for the most part experience. So I don't, if I have some in my DNA, I'm not jumping up and down about Anglo-Saxon identity in my DNA because I don't have any proof or history that this was done out of some natural love relationship. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to throw that in there on that topic. There's some our news in Atlanta. I don't know if you heard it, but the great Joe Beasley has passed away.
No, I did not hear that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I wanted to let you know so that you know who you might have to reach out to.
Yeah, that's a great activist, great mind. Wow.
Great activist. And then the other thing, lastly, I wanted to talk about, historically in this election, this recent election, we've had enough blame to go around. I've heard people blame the black males. I've heard them blame the Arabs. I heard them blame the recently the Somalians. You know what I mean? We had enough blame. What we need to do now, like you say, get busy.
Right.
And recognize the victory that's on the way if we stay the course. You know what I mean? And to add to what you said, to show that we're on the right course. But this man, part of their news strategy was to get Trump back out in the public with the hopes that he would draw huge crowds. And from what you said, what happened in Pennsylvania yesterday, he didn't get the huge crowd that, and I don't think he's going to get those huge crowds, at least not right now. You know what I mean? If we stay the course, you know what I mean? So I just want to throw that out there too. So let's just stay the course, people. Leave the blame conversation out of the picture for now because we don't need it anymore. It's done. History's been had. Let's get busy and don't snatch this victory out of the don't snatch. How do they say it? Snatch.
Don't snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory.
That's exactly right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
let's stay the course. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, I
now.
appreciate you.
Love you very much, man.
Thank you. Love you back. And I think he raises critical point that when you see momentum going your way, especially when it was opposing you, you go with the flow. You go with the momentum. You keep pushing. You don't turn around, and you certainly don't relax and rest. And I think that we saw from the November elections, we saw from the election in Miami, and as he raised, Jihad raised, now let's build on that and not be dividing each other, but let's push because we see that our opponent is weakening. First of all, Trump was not coming out at all. He had stopped doing rallies. He had stopped doing the road. He was missing in action. There was rumors and still are about his health. And now they kind of said, you got to go out. And he went out, and it was a disappointing turnout. He's not filling huge forums or stadiums or places that he used to. And he's rambling, incoherent, and really, I think the biggest thing that is happening, Reverend Rudolph is still in here with me, is that you can't tell people that they are in a condition that they're not in. To stand up there in front of people in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, that are seeing prices rise, that are seeing what is going on in terms of affordability, and tell them the affordability is just a joke or some con game that Democrats are playing on people. People are not stupid.
I totally agree, Reverend. And as we know, consumers are looking at their bills, and their checks are shorter than what they're bringing in, and they see is nothing but lies and propaganda that this administration has put forth even before they took office. Groceries are sky high. The housing market is hitting an all-time stay with folks can't even afford homes in America. Back a few weeks ago, he was saying that they were coming up with this idea of having homes. You can, have a mortgage for 50 years. That's going to be ludicrous. Even if you look at the markets now, we are in like a soft recession, and a lot of folks are not talking about it, and I think it's going to get worse. Look at the housing. Look at the economics. It's going to get worse, and we know in the last before the Biden administration, when the Trump administration went before, and we got hit hard with COVID, and the economic status of this country went left. It's on the rise again, and we better wake up before it's too late.
And I think that we've got to go with our own momentum. Right. If we've been able to turn around to some degree to where the flow is going, then why are we nitpicking and in some ways getting in the way of the fact that some people are saying, I looked at the numbers in the Latino community, one caller brought it up, they overwhelmingly went against the Republican in the mayor's race in Miami yesterday. Mm-hmm. Well, they were all supporting Trump before. And now they're saying, but wait a minute, with all these ICE raids and deportation, you talking about my mama, my brother, my cousin, my son, my daughter, and that's not what you told me. You told me hardened criminals. You told me people that were hurting the country. You're snatching people just off the street, local businessmen. Mm-hmm. So he's hurt himself with the Latino vote, which he got a larger percentage than he did before. Black males that he got a little bit more than he did before are saying, wait a minute, what is all of this? And rather than I'll drag it down, just accept where it's going and push, because this is not about who you support in the future. This is about getting these people out of power so they can continue to change the laws and the policies that our community needs.
Yep, and I totally agree. We've seen this administration, and particularly the president, even before he got in office, rally about the things that they were going to do, and they've went back on their word. Like you've mentioned, the ICE rates have increased, and some of those associations and organizations who supported him before are now coming out saying, we made a mistake. They lied to us. Because even if you look at the statistics, I can't remember what it was I read. It's a high percentage of folks that they've locked up. They are not even criminals, and so we're seeing upticks in that, especially with the Somalian community. We're praying for them, and they're now coming to awareness like, he lied to us. He's called our community garbage, and now they're even speaking out. And so I think this is just a setup for a win for the Democrats if they bring themselves together and come on with a plan to do right by its citizens. It'll be an easy win, but we need to have a come to Jesus meeting and bring forth the issues at hand. Local people on the ground are hurting while the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, and the wealth gap is widening. We need to come up with a plan to talk to our people to let them know that we care about how their pockets feel, how their children feel when it comes to education, jobs. The job unemployment line is getting longer. The statistics are high, but Americans are not working now. And so we have to come together to do something about this.
All right. And I think that is where we're going to leave it today. I think Tanya Stovall says it best. We are seeing more and more. We hope more and more people wake up and see who Trump really is. And I think that is happening if we don't get in the way.
Right.
And I think that we need to let people see plainly and clearly what he is and what he's not. And I think that is imperative and important. All right, let me get ready to go. I hear the music. Let me thank all of you that called in, you that called in, listened in, you that called in, listened in, and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.